She was already yelling when I stepped out of the cabin, phone pressed to her ear, finger pointed at my chest like a gun. "Yes, officer, he's trespassing. He broke into HOA property," she said loud enough for my kid to hear from inside. Then she smiled at me and whispered, "You're done." I stayed quiet. My truck was still running, wood stacked in the back, frost on the windows. She slapped a bright orange paper on my door and said, "This cabin is condemned. You don't belong here." I asked her whose land this was. She laughed. "My husband handles people like you." That's when the patrol car lights flashed. Through the trees, red and blue washing over the cabin walls. My kid opened the door behind me and asked, "Dad, are they taking our house?" Karen heard that and nodded like she'd won. "Watch and learn," she said. The car door opened, boots hit the gravel, and the first thing the officer said wasn't my name. It was mine. "Sir," he said, looking confused, "why didn't you tell me you worked here too?" Karen froze. Her smile cracked for half a second. Then she jumped in fast. "Officer, don't let him lie to you. He's been squatting here for weeks," she said, waving the HOA paper again. The officer didn't even look at it. He looked at me, then at my kid standing barefoot on the porch, then back at me. "Dispatch said there was a threat call," he said slowly. "Someone reported a man refusing to leave HOA land." Karen crossed her arms. "Exactly. Arrest him." The officer sighed and asked me, "You still assigned to county ops, or did you move units?" Karen's head snapped toward him. "Assigned?" she repeated. I answered calmly, "Still county. Just on leave." Her face went pale, but she tried to recover. "So what? That doesn't give him rights here," she said louder, like volume could fix it. That's when a tow truck rolled in behind the patrol car. Karen smirked again. "Good, tow his truck." "HOA order." The driver hooked my truck without asking. My kid grabbed my jacket and whispered, "Dad, our stuff." I didn't stop the tow. I just pulled out my phone and hit record. Karen leaned close and said softly, "This is what happens when you don't know your place." She didn't know the call she made 5 minutes. Ego was already being flagged. And she really didn't know whose name was about to pop up next on that officer's screen. The officer's radio cracked. He looked down at it, then back at Karen, then at me again. "Ma'am," he said, slow and careful, "dispatch is asking why your husband's badge number is tied to this address." Karen laughed too fast. "That's a mistake. My husband doesn't work with him." She pointed at me like I was dirt. The officer didn't blink. "That's strange," he said, "because I trained under him. And your husband did too." The tow truck stopped moving. The driver let go of the chain, confused. Karen's face went stiff. "You're lying," she snapped. "He's just some cabin guy," I finally spoke. "You should call him," I said. "Ask where he was last month, or why he warned you not to touch this land." Her hand shook as she dialed. It rang once, twice. Then she lowered the phone slowly. He's not picking up," she whispered. Right then, another patrol car pulled in. Then another. Not for me. For the report she filed. The first officer looked at her and said, "False reports are serious, especially when they involve a minor." Karen stepped back. "I was protecting the neighborhood," she said, voice breaking. I lifted my phone higher. "No," I said. "You were testing how far your power went." The officer nodded. "And now we're testing it too." The wind pushed through the trees, and Karen realized this wasn't her meeting anymore. Karen tried to step forward, then stopped when the officer raised his hand. "Stay right there," he said. She looked around, waiting for someone to back her up. No one did. A few neighbors had come out, phones already up, whispering. She forced a smile. "This is getting blown out of control," she said. "My husband will clear this up," the officer answered. "He already did. About an hour ago." That hit her hard. "What do you mean?" she asked. He glanced at me. "Your husband called in after hearing you were at this cabin again. He told us not to escalate. He also said, 'You were warned.'" Karen's mouth opened, but no sound came out. I leaned against the truck, calm. "I didn't want this," I said. "I told you last winter to leave us alone," she snapped back, desperate now. "You don't belong here. This place was never meant for people like you." The crowd went quiet. The officer's tone changed. Ma'am, that comment just made things worse. Another officer walked up, holding a tablet. We checked the HOA file, he said. This cabin isn't under it. Never was. Karen shook her head fast. That's impossible. I smiled once. That's why your notices were fake. Her knees went weak. She grabbed her phone again, this time crying. Please, she said into it. I need help. The officer gently took the phone from her hand. You already got help, he said. Just not the kind you wanted. Somewhere behind her, someone whispered, She really messed up. Karen heard it. And for the first time, she knew the story wasn't going her way anymore. She tried to laugh it off, wiping her face like it was all a misunderstanding. This is harassment, she said, pointing at me now. He's been provoking me for months. The officer didn't even look at me. He looked at the tablet again. Ma'am, there's a recorded call from you last night, he said. You said you'd make him disappear. If the HOA board didn't back you. The words hung in the cold air. A neighbor gasped. Karen snapped. That was a joke. I finally spoke. Jokes don't come with fake fines and locked gates. Her head turned fast. You cut that gate yourself. I shook my head. No, your maintenance crew did. On camera. The second officer tapped the screen and turned it so everyone could see. Grainy footage. My truck stuck outside. My kid sitting on the porch steps, blanket around his shoulders. Karen's voice in the background saying, Let them freeze. The crowd changed after that. Phones went higher. Someone said, That's a child. Karen backed up, shaking. You can't use that, she said. My husband, the officer interrupted. Your husband already sent the footage to Internal Affairs. She froze. Why would he do that? I looked at her slow. Because he works with me, I said. And he knows I don't lie. Her eyes filled with fear now, real fear. The officer stepped closer. Ma'am, turn around, Karen whispered. Barely audible. This wasn't supposed to happen. I replied quietly. It never is. When you pick the wrong person. The cuffs clicked. Soft, but loud enough for everyone to hear. Karen started crying, saying it was stress, saying people pushed her too far. No one moved. Her husband's car pulled in right then. He stepped out slow, badge clipped to his belt, eyes tired. He didn't look at her first. He looked at the officers and nodded. Do what you have to do, he said. Karen turned to him like he'd betrayed her. You're choosing him over me? She shouted. He answered quiet. I'm choosing the truth. That line spread through the crowd like fire. The officers walked her to the car, and just before the door closed, she looked at my kid and looked away. Silence followed. Then her husband walked up to me. I'm sorry, he said. I tried to stop this months ago. I shook his hand. You did the right thing today. The next morning, the gate was gone. The HOA notice board was empty. By sunset, neighbors brought food. Someone fixed my fence, and my kid rode his bike in the open road, laughing like he hadn't in weeks. I stood on the porch, coffee in my hand, watching the sun hit the cabin. I didn't win by yelling. I didn't win by force. I won because the land was mine, and the truth doesn't need permission to stand its ground.